Apocalypse! Yeah, hi everyone. This is the closest thing to, I guess, an off-duty real Nerf cable. And if anyone's wondering why I got the green on, it's because I kind of want to remember hope. So you're probably wondering why Retro isn't doing the stupid figure form thing that I was accustomed to. I can't really do this framing right. Anyway, yeah, long story short, I was going to do a figure review with him for Terminator Zero that I was assigned to, but I guess not. Yeah, that long proof that I tried at least do in the arm here. Yeah, they're taking organic virus crap, usual. It was even human people. Anyway, getting to the point, also, I fought tooth and nail to basically not have my dad's shades, as another Easter egg here, but that also being said, speaking of familial ties and time travel, let's talk about Terminator Zero, the 8-episode anime that dropped last week on one of the anniversaries, what would have been Judgment Day in the franchise. So, what do I think of the 8 episodes as it is? Well, Retro actually liked it, if you could believe it, up until we get to, I don't know, the ending. Yeah, he had a whole, why is it basically trying to be like Genesis again in a good way? What was that? Hang on a sec. What do you mean by that? It was basically like, essentially Dark Fate had a good ending, or Skydance being Skydance. Okay, that doesn't really narrow it down. Yeah, it's a whole thing. And turns out, for the purposes of this review, he was absolutely right that I should have messed up. That's great. Now I look like I'm robbing a convenience store. I miss my straps. Seriously, I don't have any of my AK gear or any of the, I don't know, the usual pouches you guys normally see with Rob Liefeld crap. I will say, though, I'm not going to show feet. Just going to put that out there. Anyway, on to the actual review itself. They had a future soldier from the year 2022. Okay, so definitely that timeline. Going into 97, basically before the events of what would have been the original Judgment Day in the movies. And long story short, I think someone on Tumblr said it best. It's basically the plot of I, Robot, but then a Terminator movie just happens in the middle of Act 2. In a good way, honestly. So, shots out to production IG, and more importantly, a Ghost in the Shell alum. No, not Major Toko Kusanagi herself, sub actor. She sadly passed away before this anime dropped. She didn't do the sub. I could be wrong. Retro might have to rewatch the sub going into it. And yeah, I'm starting to realize why he wants to keep the whole mask thing. I'm not making a mask in the comments, just saying that right now. So, anyway, getting back to the whole bit of news. Yeah, it turns out there's gonna be maybe a Jurassic World new movie soon. It's a Retro thing. He'll figure it out. So, back on the actual series itself, it's not bad. You get a little bit of everything when you know about future war stuff, like a infiltrator Terminator unit goes in, stops what would have been a decent hit job with a time travel. Sole survivor of the said time travel goes into, like I said, the late 90s, and it is a very different late 90s, because again, this is a anime, so they have to be a little different. At points, both Retro and myself thought, okay, is this basically the plot of like one of those weird animatrix sorts? Yeah, if you go to I believe yeah, I'm not gonna point. I can't point like this. Go over to in the cards for, I think, Nerdist's non-canonicals is what they basically call people, or I guess franchises that are sort of close to the Terminator timeline, but not by much. I'll still subscribe to the theory that it is definitely the RoboCop franchise that is closer to it than the Matrix. It was a whole thing there, but then again, the Animatrix basically didn't really help with those allegations whatsoever. So that being said, on to the voice cast itself. Really good. What little lines you get at Timothy Olyphant being the actual Terminator of the series is actually good. Very menacing, the haunting presence of what myself and Retro reviewed in the Retro review. Go to our figure forms review over there. Yeah, I just also realized I kind of borrowed his morphing device thingy as my new time slider, so I'm gonna have to figure that out with him if this is copy or a loaner, so I don't know. So anyway, the rest of the voice cast is pretty good. A lot of probably anime regulars that I don't have time to talk about, but I do have time to talk about Rosario Dawson's Kyoko. Long story short, she was supposed to be another sophisticated rival AI to Skynet that wants to actually, I want to stop my version of Jade before yours, essentially, but yeah, basically, you still get the nukes that had come down in that version of the timeline, but in Japan's case, where this is set by the way, she kind of actually by way of tactical nuke expertise. Look, there's a lot of military jargon I don't have time to talk about. Now, you're also probably wondering, why do I look more like Retro? Why am I using more of his loadout? Psychic Rapport. It's a whole Summers Rebellion thing I don't have time to talk about. So, anyway, we'll probably put that, we'll probably explain more in the figure form, which I was accustomed to, by the way. Oh, yeah, another reason why he likes to go off cam, so he could say something like, oh, I don't know. Yeah, but then I had to make straps and stuff, which I didn't have time for this review. It's a whole thing with him. Yeah, look, ultimately, let's just get to most of the plot is, again, if you've seen any of the original two movies, you kind of get the idea of the infiltrator basically posing as either a couple of things. In Japan's case, I guess, traffic stop guy that they would usually have in their prefectures, and I also believe a cop later down the road. What is actually interesting, and I think my arm could kind of do this too. No, you don't have time to explain it. Oh, really, Rachel? Yeah. All right, long story short, if you've seen the trailers or what little marketing there was to this movie, the infiltrator basically cuts down the arm and basically makes like a makeshift crossbow to slip into like places more easily later on in the series, which is pretty cool. Now, for the target himself, Malcolm Lee, there's a big spoilers to his whole deal to why he wanted to make a rival AI to counteract Skynet. So this is mainly going to be the spoilers section right now if we have time codes. Very rudimentary links down below in his stupid comment section. Anyway, getting to the point, it is actually a good series. Let's do the mini review here while I'm here. It's tactically speaking good, 89%. Oh, wait, sorry, this is Retro's mechanics. I don't know. 7 out of 10 vibes. Definitely 7 out of 10 vibes, and it's actually in the best of sense of said 7 out of 10. And I really need to figure out his lighting next time. Anyway, yeah, I absolutely need cosplay gear, just letting him know also, in future reference when it comes to making a real version of me, Nathan Summers, Cable. Remember it. I would normally say Apocalypse because I am in dead timelines like that. Also, I'm ambidextrous, hence why I'm shooting more on my left in this review. That's like the only thing character actor apparently knows. So, spoilers. Long story short, yeah, Malcolm actually wasn't a guy in the past, nor was his babysitter for his kids. Long story short, the babysitter is actually a Terminator. Now, we all, when we were binging this, thinking, okay, maybe John had a say in it, maybe you get a cameo from the Connors themselves. No, it was also Lee, because, also big spoilers, by the end of the season, you get to see his life as a kid in the future war, and grew up to be basically in his mid-20s in 2050. To put a long story short, they all, both him and his robot, since I can't really say Terminator because I don't think she is a Terminator class, infiltrator, could both come to the conclusion through a lot of philosophical and a lot of, I guess, robot therapy talk throughout the future war timeline, that basically the time war is basically bullshit, and every time you bring someone back, I think they tried to explain this earlier with the Prophet, with the human that was supposed to save her, Aliko, Reneka? I don't know. Long story short, she's also voiced by, I believe, A24 regular since Ex Machina. Apparently, the dance is still canon here above. I don't even know. You'll know when you see it. Apparently, it says Retro. Anyway, getting back on target, essentially, they both went back a little further, you would think, in the early 90s, right after Ts 1 and 2. No, 83 to Japan so they could go into a TechCom AI software development unit, be their I guess, developer, and basically, again, develop Kyoko early. That way she could basically be ready to counteract Skynet's bullshit and basically to stop, essentially, that version of Judgment Day all over again. But here's the thing. Turns out, another big spoiler, in case you got time, long story short, this is an actually good anime series. Production IG basically killed it with the animation. I'm very much stalling here, even in the spoiler section, because the lady that's supposed to save him and the kids is actually their grandma in the future. Yes. So, normally, this is where Retro would kind of say that's weird, that's sliding into Genesis territory, as someone who time slides for a living. Yeah, kinda. You tend to have weird alternate timelines, like stuff like this. I mean, I fought alternate timeline versions of both myself as a clone, high strength if you're listening, and Tyler becoming a Genesis. Not the Genocice or whatever the hell that title was. Go to the original review above, for last cards. So, what does that basically mean for Season 2, if there is going to be one? Well, essentially, in this timeline, that Japan's going to be the only country that wasn't affected by Skynet because, again, there was a rogue AI other than Skynet that kind of saw this shit coming. And throughout the entire series was supposed to be Kyoko basically trying to realize, is humanity even worth it? Should I just agree to the machines right out of the jump? Just like any other potential prototype AI would have been back in that time. So, outside of that, let's get to the Japan section and get Retro back in here. Yeah, I'm not kidding. This is really Psychic Report. It's a whole thing. Hence, I needed the glasses and didn't have time to Guyliner. Yeah, for Japan itself, it's actually pretty cool. You get a lot of, essentially, like Cable said here in the shades, a lot of, basically, iRobot vibes, but with Ghost in the Shell isms, like I said, like he said, with therapy when it comes to Malcolm and Kyoko. Big spoilers of that is because they created Kyoko, his babysitter, and Lee, and long story short, it's supposed to be, I guess, like a robot version of a new kid kind of stuff. Yeah, also, Timothy Oliphant, is very imposing when he gets, he gets, like, I guess less lines than I think Arnold did in the original movie, so I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments for that. So, report back to Cable. That's seamless. He doesn't really have I guess, what is it, power signature that Dad always said. Anyway, long story short, yeah, it's a very good tactical review. Long story short, I can't do critic self. I don't know that. Me quoting, I guess, Kyle aside, it's actually a good series. The ending's a little hard to explain, especially someone who's doing Psychic Report with this guy. Tactically speaking, it's worth your time. Is it better than the last two live-action movies Retro himself also talked about here on this channel before he started finally doing a cosplay of me, of all people? Yeah, it is. It's actually not bad for what it is. And yeah, regardless if the plot doesn't make any sense to you, or depending on what sub or dub you're watching, you still get production IG pretty much at its best using the IP to its fullest when it comes to the animation. So there's nothing really much to sleep on that. So with that all being said, and there's all that stuff I said down below, I guess this is where stupid ending cards archaically go there. To the previous video, which was, of course, me in figure form with Retro, talking about the original movie, and I wasn't, I wasn't nostalgic. No, it wasn't. Anyway, ambidextrously over there to the shorts playlist for any other stuff we might have missed that we'll probably put in the I guess non-spoiler section, or I guess extra bits when it comes to talking about the show above, or most likely going to go back to Critical Role shorts. They had a break last week since that was basically a whole Labor Day thing. And speaking of said Labor Day, maybe this review will probably be out by Tuesday as well, so who really knows. So until then, I am not in my final form, but will be someday. Yeah, that Red Hood guy was totally right about how prototype-ish this stuff is here. Real Nerf, Cable, and Retrokid reviews through Psychic Report, telling you to go ahead and just check out the series. It's actually not as bad as it looks. For once, Skydance, you actually listen to fans. Kinda. I don't know. I don't know reviewing. Yeah, and that's your problem. That's your problem. No, it's not!